Hello everyone, I am Suresh. I welcome you to this practical session on fundamental of automotive systems. In this session, we are going to practically evaluate the performance of the IC engines. The performance parameters of the IC engines are like, in the terms of power, it is indicated power, brake power, friction power, and in terms of efficiency, it is indicated thermal efficiency, brake thermal efficiency, mechanical efficiency, volumetric efficiency, and in terms of pressure, it is indicated mean effective pressure and brake mean effective pressure. So, here before starting the experiment, let us go to the construction of the experimental setup, and in this setup we use here single cylinder 4-stroke diesel engine. As I told you earlier, the type of engine used in this experimental setup is a single cylinder 4-stroke diesel engine, and this type of engines are mainly used for agricultural purposes and gensets. This type of engine is usually started by a manual cranking. It does not have any self motor, and for a manual cranking purpose, a provision provided is known as a decompression lever. This decompression lever can be engaged and disengaged to start the engine by manual cranking. So, to perform this experiment, we have to load the engine. So, for loading purpose, we use here a dynamometer which is an eddy current dynamometer. Okay. This eddy current dynamometer is coupled to the engine by using a connecting shaft of the engine. In normal vehicles, the passengers and the self weight of the vehicle acts as a payload, but here since it is an experimental setup, we use a dynamometer for applying the load. The type of dynamometer used here is an eddy current dynamometer. So, this eddy current dynamometer works with the principle of magnetic loss. This dynamometer has a rotor and the stator. This rotor is connected to the output shaft of the engine. The stator is a stationary coil which, when DC power is powered up, a magnetic field is generated surrounding the rotor, and when the rotor rotates, this magnetic field is cut off, and according to the magnetic laws, eddy current is generated against the rotation of the output shaft. So, this torque is developed, and the housing of the stator housing rotates against the rotation of the engine, that is of the output shaft, and that is sensed by your S-type load cell. This is the panel board which controls the entire operation of the test setup. So, this is the loading knob which controls the DC power to your dynamometer. So, rotating in a clockwise direction increases the intensity of the current, thereby the load proportional to the load, and decreasing rotating in the anti-clockwise direction decreases the intensity of the current as usual, as proportional to your load. And this panel is an indicator of the RPM. So, since this is a constant speed engine, so even though by application of the load there will be a slight variation in the RPM, so that RPM will be indicated in this display, and this is the display which indicates the load in the terms of kilograms. So, by adjusting the load knob as I showed you earlier, so the increase or decrease in the load is shown in this display. This is a temperature indicator, because we measure different temperatures at different points of the engine, that will be explained to you in the later stages. So, here this shows all 1 to 6 temperature points in different points of the engine. So, this is the exact block diagram of whatever the experimental setup which you saw now. This is the engine part, and this is the dynamometer part, and this is the calorimeter, and this is the water flow meter. And here air and fuel enters into the engine. This is the air flow and this is the fuel flow, named as F1 for the fuel and F2 for the air. Okay. So, I already told you there are 6 thermocouples connected for measuring the temperature at 6 different points. So, that I will mention one by one for your easy understanding. So, the water enters into the engine as T1. So, the water enters to this flow meter. The flow meter measures the flow rate of the water. So, the water enters into the engine as T1. So, it is mentioned here, and it absorbs the heat of the engine and comes out as T2. And the next is T3. So, T3 is again the water entering to a calorimeter. A calorimeter is a device which acts as a simple heat exchanger, where the exhaust tube is surrounded by the water jackets for the cooling purpose. The water enters into the calorimeter as T3 and comes out taking out the heat of the exhaust gas, it comes out as T4. And the T5 is the exhaust gas inlet temperature, because you know the water is circulating through the calorimeter. So, the exhaust gas entering into the calorimeter is cooled by the circulating water, and the temperature of the exhaust gas is reduced and comes out as T6. So, these are all the T1 to T6 temperatures. So, which will be more essential to calculate our heat balance. So, from the block diagram already we saw the air and the fuel enters into the engine. So, the two measurements, the air measurement and the fuel measurement has to be done. So, for air measurement we use a U-tube manometer. So, here the U-tube manometer has two limbs. One limb of the manometer is connected to the atmosphere, and other limb of the U-tube manometer is connected to the suction part of the engine. For fuel measurement, we use a fuel measurement jar method. This fuel measurement jar consists of two modes. One is the tank mode, one is the measuring mode. When it is in the tank mode, the fuel is received from the fuel tank to the measuring jar and measuring jar to the engine. When it is in the measuring mode, the fuel from the tank is entirely closed. The engine consumes only the fuel available in the measuring jar. So, therefore, level of the fuel rapidly reduces, and the reduced level with respect to time is noticed, and the mass flow rate of the fuel is calculated. These are the two rotameters, so which measures the flow of the water to the engine and the calorimeter. So, this is the rotameter which measures the water flow to the engine in terms of liters per hour, and this is the rotameter which measures the water flow to the calorimeters in terms of liter per hour. This is the outlet of the air box, and this is the hose which connects the air box outlet and the engine intake manifold. Through this hose only the air is drawn into the engine's intake manifold. So, this is an air box which is an empty air box. So, which consists of an opening on its top. So, through this opening the air is drawn from the atmosphere and fed into the intake manifold of the engine, and this opening is nothing but a fixed diameter orifice which consists of a fixed coefficient of discharge. This is the tapping you can see. So, which is fixed to the one end of the U-tube manometer, one limb of the U-tube manometer. So, this is the engine suction part. Already I told you the U-tube one limb of the U-tube manometer is connected to the open to the atmosphere, and other end is connected to your engine's intake manifold. So, this engine's intake is connected to through this air box. There is a pressure difference because due to the above the air box there is atmospheric pressure, inside the air box there is a suction pressure caused by the engine. So, this delta pressure, that is the change in pressure, is measured by the U-tube manometer. So, this is the calorimeter which acts as a heat exchanger. So, the exhaust gas from the engine enters into this calorimeter, and this calorimeter consists of water jackets inside, and this water absorbs the heat of the exhaust gas. The cooled exhaust gas comes out of from the calorimeter. The temperature of the exhaust gas is measured before the entry of the calorimeter, and the temperature of the as T5, and the temperature of the exhaust gas is measured after the exit of the calorimeter as T6. and this water absorbs the heat of the exhaust gas and comes out as T4 temperature. So, all the water outlets are connected to a common drain. So, now we will look into different sensors which provides an input parameter for all our calculations. So, for first temperature sensors, we will start from the inlet water temperature. So, for inlet water temperature, we have a water motor which pumps the water to one inlet to the engine and one inlet to the dynamometer. Since eddy current dynamometer is used, the eddy current dynamometer generates a large amount of heat. So, we need a cooling supply for cooling eddy current dynamometer also. So, apart from it, this temperature sensor provides the data for T1 and T3 temperature. So, that is nothing but the water inlet temperature to the engine and water inlet temperature to the calorimeter. This is the T2 temperature which provides you the engine's outlet water temperature. So, the inlet water from the T1 enters into the engine and carries the heat of the engine and comes out as T2. This is a rotary encoder, so which measures the RPM of the engine and also measures the crank angle at every instant of time. And there are two pressure sensors fixed in the cylinder head. So, one is for the injection pressure, this is for the injection pressure and this is for the combustion pressure. Since to finding out your indicated power, we need pressure volume diagram, that is PV diagram. So, the combustion pressure versus the crank angle from the data of the encoder is used to plot this PV diagram. So, this is the engine part and this is the engine's flywheel and this is the eddy current dynamometer, and this engine is connected to this dynamometer part by a connecting shaft. Coming to the engine, this is a single cylinder 4-stroke diesel engine which is a VCR engine. So, it is a variable compression ratio engine where you can alter the compression ratio of the engine by adjusting the clearance volume of the cylinder. So, here this clearance volume of the cylinder can be adjusted by loosening these 6 screws and adjusting this knob to move the cylinder head up and down, thereby adjusting the clearance volume. Since we have a hand crank engine, to overcome the compression pressure manually, we have a separate setup called as a decompression lever. This is the decompression lever. So, when this decompression lever is in the engaged condition, during the cranking of the engine, the compression does not happen. So, when this decompression lever is disengaged once the momentum is obtained through the cranking, the engine gets started by the compression operation. So, this is the fuel injector through which the fuel is supplied into the cylinder. This is the cylinder pressure sensor which is used to measure the existing pressure inside the cylinder, and this sensor is a fuel injection pressure sensor. So, having seen the demonstration of the entire experimental setup, now we will perform an experiment by applying 3 kilograms load to the engine, and we will record all the readings for doing the calculation. This is the third panel which indicates the temperature measurement of the temperature measurements of all 1 to 6 thermocouples. So, here since thermocouples are used, the potential difference due to the temperature difference caused in the thermocouples are mentioned in the terms of voltage here. So to convert them into degree centigrade, we use a equation called parameter is equal to, that is parameter is nothing but the temperature, which is nothing but the factor into V minus 1. So the factor is nothing but the common factors given to all 6 thermocouples. So here the factor for 1 to 4 thermocouples are 25 and 5 and 6 is 300. So this is a channel selector. For each channel the potential difference is recorded and substituted in this equation, and the temperature is found in degree centigrade. Now let me start the engine by the hand cranking procedure. Now you can see that I am unable to rotate engine due to the compression pressure. So for that reason we engage the decompression lever and now try to rotate the engine. Now I find it easy to rotate, and once the momentum is obtained, the engine is started and the decompression lever is released. So once the decompression lever is released, you can see the flywheel in the running condition. At the no load condition, we have to run the engine for 2 minutes. During this time, we will see the other components in the closer view during the operational procedure. So the first component to see is a pressure gauge, which indicates the pressure of the cooling water entering into the dynamometer. As the eddy current dynamometer gets heated during the operation, it has to be cooled by the cooling water. The next component to be seen is the S-type load cell, which when the potentiometer is adjusted, the load is applied through the dynamometer to the engine in kilograms, and this is the control valve which controls the cooling water flow rate to the dynamometer. The next component is the rotary encoder, which provides the RPM of the engine and also the pulses of the crankshaft position. So now everything is set. I will start the experiment by loading the engine. For loading the engine, I am turning the knob slowly and gradually to increase the load on the engine in terms of 0.1 kilograms to a maximum of 3 kilograms. And this is an RPM indicator, which when at the no load condition of the engine, it was around 1560 RPM. At the increase of the load, it has reduced to nearly 1550 RPM. So the load is gradually increasing. On reaching 3 kilograms, we will record the readings. It has reached 3 kilograms. Now on reaching 3 kilograms, the RPM is 1551 RPM. Already the given load is 3 kilograms. It is noted. And the next is the temperature measurement. So which it indicates the voltage, which is nothing but the potential difference across the terminals of the thermocouples. This T1 temperature, T2 temperature, T3 temperature, T4 temperature, T5 temperature and T6 temperature, which are clearly visible in the display. You can record it. And once the temperature readings are completed, it is put back to its positions. So this is a U-tube manometer, which is used to calculate the air measurement. Here the level differences of water in the two limbs is measured by using a measuring scale. So here the level difference is noted as 90 mm of water by using the measuring scale. So this 90 mm is noted as H. This H is substituted in Bernoulli's equation to determine the air supplied to the engine in kilograms per hour. So the next measurement is the fuel measurement. So in the demonstration video, already we saw the tank mode and the measurement mode. Here, when the engine is in the operating condition, we are turning the knob to the measurement mode. So when the knob is turned to the measurement mode, the engine consumes the fuel only available in the measuring jar. So there will be a rapid drop of the fuel level inside the measuring jar, so which will be shown in this video. You can see the knob is in the measuring mode, and you can see the rapid level of the fuel is dropping down. And using a stopwatch, this level drop can be recorded against the time. For this applied load of 3 kilograms, the fuel level drop was 13 ml per minute. So using this data, we can determine the quantity of the fuel supplied to the engine in kilograms per hour. So once the recording is done, the knob is put back to the tank mode so that uninterrupted operation of the engine is continued. So the next is the rotameter readings. So the two rotameters, one for the calorimeter and one for the engine. So this shows the float level, which indicates the quantity of the cooling water supplied to the calorimeter and cooling water supplied to the engine. So for the calorimeter it is 75 liters per hour, for engine it is 200 liters per hour. So if there is any shortfall or excess, this level can be controlled by adjusting this control valves, two control valves. So one for the calorimeter and one for the engine. So this controls the quantity of the cooling water entering into the engine or the calorimeter.